Here's a look at your daily market report on this Friday, the 18th day of April. We're going to kind of wrap the week up a bit early this week. All the financial markets, of course, are closed today in observance of the Good Friday holiday. Most of the feedlot trade took place on Thursday, so we don't expect to have a whole lot of sales today to report, as that market has already been established. And if there is any sales, it'd probably just be some light cleanup type of trade. It was an incredible week for the cattle markets this week following the disaster that was last week. Markets at the auction barns this week, as well as fed cattle trade and futures, they all gained back all of last week's losses and then some in several cases. The Missouri Stocker formula, that's based roughly on a 550-pound steer in the state of Missouri through the auction barns. Formula price on Friday morning at $371.61. That's just maybe about a couple dollars off of the all-time record high that we seen 2.5 weeks ago there. The feeder cattle index, based on an 800-pound steer up through the 12-state feeding region, on Thursday, 293.57. That's an all-time high for the feeder cattle index. Of course, we had the cattle and feed report that was released a day early this month. It was released on Thursday afternoon. That report mostly neutral to maybe just a touch bearish, but really if you look at the big picture and not just the monthly numbers, the report basically should have been mostly neutral. The placements came in just a bit higher than the pre-report analysts expected them to, but well within the ranges of the pre-report estimates. And really a lot of the, as we've talked about the last couple of 3 months, just because of the weather and the way marketings fell at the auction barns, the difference between last year and this year of because of the winter storms and such, and when guys actually were able to sell cattle, that's made quite a bit of difference with how those monthly numbers have looked. But when you look at the bigger picture, really still a very fundamentally bullish industry right now. The one number that did came out with the monthly cattle and feed report this month, because it is a quarterly report, we did get a breakdown of the steer heifer mixture in the feedlots, and that number setting at 62% steers, 38% heifers, really not showing any kind of tremendous growth. We are probably seeing a little bit of growth, at least stabilization for sure, but we're not seeing the growth rate near anywhere close to what we did back around the 14-15 time period when that heifer percentage got down in the low 30s. Taking a look at the feedlot trade this week, as of Friday morning's report, 61,364 head of negotiated sales. The live sales, $4 to $7 higher for the week. Dress sales, $5 to $12 higher. Texas report about 7,500 head, 208 to 210 live. Kansas, 8,700 head, 208 to 210 live, 332 to 335 dressed. Nebraska report about 21,000 head, 210 to 215 on the live side. Dress sales at 332 to 345. Iowa, they report about 15,000 head, 210 to 215 live, 332 to 340 dressed. Before we take a look at some of the weighted average feeder cattle prices from around the state this week, want to remind you there is a couple of special replacement cow sales being held tomorrow on Saturday. Got the one at Unionville Livestock Market. It'll get kicked off at about 11 o'clock. They're expecting 600 head there. Got two different consigners each. They're bringing over 200 head of cattle for that sale. Some very nice, high-quality northern type of cattle. Young cattle, bred cows, really good cows that'd be good to take home. And then Springfield Livestock Marketing Center, they'll have their monthly replacement cow sale Saturday evening. That'll get kicked off at about 4 o'clock. They're expecting 600 head there as well, with several nice consignments in that offering. Taking a look at the auction barns around the state this week, when all's said and done, we get all of those numbers in. Should be around 37,000 head. Taking a look at some of the stick-out sales. In some cases, these were the highest prices for the weight ranges, but in some of the others, it sure wasn't, but it was some of the bigger drafts that we've seen this week. South Central Regional Stockyards in Vienna, they sold 31 head of 420-pound steers at $449. Callaway Livestock Center, there on Monday when the recovery just really took off, they had a full load of 501-pound steers. Now, these were fancy steers, all the bells and whistles, thin condition. They brought $440, which is just absolutely incredible price for some light 5-weight steers there. The weighted average price statewide on those light 5-weight steers at $381. Joplin Regional Stockyard sold 103 head of 609-pound steers for $354. Lawley Brothers Livestock Market in Macon, they had a load of 741-pound steers, bring $315.75. The weighted average price on those light 7 whites for the state this week at $309. Joplin sold 498 head of steers, averaging 841 pounds with one drop of the gavel at $292.10. That wasn't the highest price, however, for the light 8 weights. Kingsville Livestock Market, they sold 194 head with one drop of the gavel, 810 pounds that brought $294. Callaway Livestock Center had 120 head of 883-pound steers that brought $280.75. Then Mocan Livestock Market in Butler, they sold 130 head of 939-pound steers at $264. Taking a look at some of the heifer prices, Callaway Livestock Center sold a full load of 548-pound heifers, $351.25. The weighted average price statewide for those light 5 weights this week at $336. Lawley Brothers Livestock Market in Macon sold 5 loads of steers, a total of these were heifers, 5 loads of heifers, total head count of 375 head. They weighed from 714 to 743, all sold in load lots, and every one of those loads brought $293.75. Still several loads sold at various auctions around this week, weighing that 7.25 to 850 pounds sold as replacement cattle. Some of those sold by the pound, some of them sold by the head, but when the math was done, a lot of those heifers suitable that were being taken home and not to feed, bringing somewhere around that $2,300 to $2,450 per head mark. Box beef cutout values on Friday morning. Choice at $332.20, down 70 cents. Select at $316.65, up 26 cents. Those values based on 67 loads of cuts, trimmings, and grinds. The Choice Select spread setting at $15.55. As we mentioned, due to the Good Friday holiday, all the futures markets are closed today, so nothing to report to you there. They'll open back up and get back to business on Monday, and we'll see how next week starts. But in the meantime, that's a look at your markets for Friday. This is Tony Hancock.